she, they, he, ze. Are you also not sure about which pronouns to use when talking with someone? How should I ask someone about the pronouns to use? And what if I make a mistake? Hi, this is Lorenzo, the online programming coordinator at Northfield Community House. In this video, together with Zayana, our gender-based violence counselor, we're going to find out more about what pronouns we can use, why it is important to use the appropriate pronoun, and how we can ask someone which pronouns they go by. Hello everyone. Hi Zayana, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you, Lorenzo?
I'm good. So we are back again together for another insightful video, we hope. So Zayana, at the workplace or among friends, it's important to use the right pronoun. So first of all, what are the pronouns?
Okay, so yes, as you said, Lorenzo, it's very important to use the proper pronouns. So the pronouns that we see and hear the most are she/her, he/him. It could be she/they, as well as they and she. And we have also shared a slide with other pronouns that you may also know, and some new ones that you may have not known about, but that you may now be more familiar with.
Yeah, okay. And I'm glad that you mentioned familiar, because I think one of the most difficult parts here is how can I know which pronoun you use, for example?
To be able to know which pronouns to use when you're talking to someone, the best thing to do is always to ask. So even if you may be feeling a little bit uncomfortable, but it depends on the setting. If it's in a work setting and maybe you've received emails from that individual, some individuals now include in their emails, beside their name, it will also have their pronouns attached to it. And also, even if you're uncomfortable, just having that uncomfortable conversation and just asking, could I just know what your pronouns? Mine's are she/her. So just to make it a bit more comfortable, if you're feeling uncomfortable, you could also start the question by saying what your pronouns are and then asking them if they have any pronouns that they go by. And some people don't relate to pronouns or don't really know that much about pronouns. So they may just say, oh, I don't have any that I go by. And some people will just like to go by their name.
Okay. And yeah, and you're right. Now, more and more people have their pronouns, like on Zoom, for example, they have he or him, or also maybe in the emails as well. So how then would I introduce myself? Do you have a specific sentence?
So introducing my pronoun usually depends on, as I said before, on the setting in itself. If it's a social and work setting, I will mention my name. So I'll say something like, my name is Zayana, and I use the pronouns she/her. In other settings, I address the pronouns if the question is asked. So it's not something where in a public setting, if someone were to maybe accidentally say the wrong pronoun, I would get upset. I would more just use it always as a teaching moment, just to say, oh, these are my pronouns that I actually go by.
Okay. And with your clients, do you ask which pronouns they go by, or there's something that you don't cover specifically?
Yes, so with my clients, that is something more when we're doing like an intake process or filling out information. I'll also include, while asking them the spelling of their first and last name and date of birth, I'll also ask them, what pronouns do you go by as well?
Okay, great. And our last question is, why is it important to know which pronouns the other person uses or goes by?
It's important to know what the pronouns that someone uses, because the pronouns are the way a lot of individuals are able to identify themselves to the world. And sometimes it's the only way that an individual is able to express themselves to the world in the way that they want, because they may not necessarily be able to express it in other ways. So it's a form of our identity, our pronouns. So it would be more asking a question of how would I feel if someone were to identify me wrong? How would I feel about that? Especially if I'm coming from a community where I already feel like my identity maybe isn't recognized as much as other individuals. So it's knowing someone's pronouns and addressing them by the correct pronouns, as well as correcting yourself if you address them by an incorrect pronoun, is very important, because you want everyone to be able to hold their own identity, and you pronouncing and saying the right pronoun is allowing that person to know that you're recognizing them and you're actually seeing them and you're hearing them.
Yeah. Okay, so this means that, for example, if I made that mistake, it doesn't matter, right? I can always correct myself, or you can correct me. There's no shame.
Yes, so you shouldn't feel any shame if you pronounce someone's pronoun wrong. If they correct you, the easiest and most simplest and respectful thing to do is to just apologize and say, I'll try and get it correct from now on, because it's also a learning curve, because especially if you have to insert somewhere where you're always used to saying she and her, and then you have to use the phrase they, you're going to have to learn it's more of a sentence thing now, where you're going to have to reconfigure your sentences when you're using the word they, so that the whole sentence like more or less flows together.
Okay, that's great. And the question to our audience is, what are your pronouns? Which pronouns do you go by? And have you ever made a mistake when talking to someone and you didn't know their pronouns? You can share your experience here in the comments. So thank you, Zayana, one more time for telling us more about which pronouns we use.
You're welcome, Lorenzo.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.